celebration, our 15th anniversary for the Igbo Church, I have the pleasure to interview a lady who played a very prominent role and still continues to play a big role in the church, Mrs. Ogonebe. Okay, I may ask you, what are your early thoughts about this church? How it started and how you were able to piece things together?
Thank you for having me over here for this interview. It's a privilege, and it also gives me an opportunity to reflect back on how we started. We had so many challenges. I remember coming here, you invited me for the meeting. The first time I couldn't make it, the second time I came. And when I came, you handed me some printed, photocopied
CDs?
No, photocopied things that you had photocopied from a book, and said that we would have to follow that for the mass, and then I asked you, what about the singing and things? You said that you have a CD that will be playing.
That's true, very true.
And that didn't sound right to me. And I said, how can it be that while the mass will be going on, then we'll be using a CD? And I said, no. I asked you if there was an order of mass. You gave me, no, yes, now I remember the photocopies you gave me was Usoro Emume Mass in Igbo. So, and I said, but there are songs to go with every part of the mass.
That's true.
And you said that you don't have that. That's the only thing you had at that period. So I went home. I think, no, that night, I don't remember if it was that night or the second time that I told you that there was no way we would go on with the CD, that I would do something. And I called Father Paul. And Father Paul was still then at Divine Infant. Mm-hmm. And that was very late at night. I think it was the second night. Very late at night. And I told Father Paul that there was no way I would be a part of this mass if we were going to use a CD. And so we went to Father Paul's house that night. And I said, Father Paul, I grew up a Catholic. And fortunately, we had a seminary, Aheke seminary, around us. So most of the big masses we will go to Aheke Mass. And so my knowledge of the Catholic Church was quite impressive, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was a part of the Block Rosary, Legion of Mary, you know, in Atumudike, in that small church there in Omahe. So I had a lot of knowledge, but do I remember them at that period? Did I remember them then? I wasn't sure, but you know, going to Father Paul that day, if he clicked on something, I will just remember. The memory, I will just remember it again. So as we were talking, I was taking notes. Remember? Mm-hmm. I took a lot of notes. Then I went home and I called my siblings, I called my friends that we grew up together.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that to me.
And I put everything together, the ones that I could. And I would remember a song. I will remember the tone, but I won't remember the wordings. And I'll call Father Emeka, Father Titus, my brother, my sister. I was just calling everybody. And that's how I came up with the order of mass that we used for the first mass. And it was like a miracle. It went very well. Everybody, I think I would say I was happy because it went well. It looked seamless, but it had a lot of challenges, it had a lot of hurdles, but God in His infinite goodness made it work. And that gave us hope. Because if we had failed at that first one, we would have been maybe demoralized or something. But because it went well, we were all motivated to even put more, to add more. And that was what we did. We kept put in more. Everybody wanted to put in as much as they could. Even visitors, anybody that came from Nigeria, they brought things, they brought books, they brought songs, and we kept adding on to our repertoire, you know.
Okay, and probably the next speaker might wish to handle this. The money we used initially, we didn't have a penny.
We didn't.
So I went, there was one of our ladies who had the task to go around soliciting for funds. So the final meeting we had, the lady came for the meeting. I said, hey, how much have you collected? She said, nothing. So my heart started beating. I ran to Orleans, went to Mrs. Ikejani. I saw her trying to gather the leaves in her garden, everything. Do you know I had to do that for her before I then told her why I came. And she was very generous, and then she really donated a check which should cover everything, even though we didn't cash that check until much later. But our people rose to the challenge, and everybody did.
You know, we had a meeting, I think one subsequent meetings we had, we now decided there were some families that were just very interested in the church, and we called ourselves the core group, the core group members, and we taxed ourselves that we would pay $25 every month that we came for mass, so that we will pay for the renting of the mass of the church and the stipend for the priests, and then the women, we cooked every month. We cooked every month. It's not like now that we now cook once in a year or twice, but every month we were cooking, you know. It's been a journey, but a good one indeed, because God has shown us that once He is interested in something, no matter the challenges. Look at us now talking about 15 years, celebrating 15 years, even thinking about having our own church. God has been faithful. He has not abandoned us in any way. He stood with us from the beginning, and He's still with us, and He will continue.
I think there's a passage in the Bible that says that anything the Lord puts His hands on will not fail, and that was what really encouraged me. Ogo is a woman of many parts. She even bought the dress the bishop used. What do you call that dress the bishop used? For the inaugural mass.
I don't know, but I think it's vestibule, they call it.
Vestibule, whatever. She bought the cloth, she sewed it, and it's fitted perfectly well.
And we tried to put the African touch to it.
Exactly.
We used African print to.
As you will see in the inaugural mass, which I'll be showing. Okay, and then that's it for now. Thank you so much for your time, and we pray that everything works very well for this anniversary ceremony. The committee, being chaired by her husband, Ike Nebe, has worked so hard. In fact, I'm even impressed. Everything has gone so well. Thank you very much for coming.
And thank you for all that you do for the church too. The recording, the archives, every documentation that we have, you've kept it.
I try.
And it's a good thing. Thank you so much for what you do.
Okay.